Welcome back. I'm Shooter Hunt here with Coffee and Curveball State to the Nation. Today we have on the great Rob Allison, Scouting Director of the state of Iowa. Rob, what's going on?
Just trying to survive the day right now, Shooter. It's a busy time of year, coming off some big events and watching the weather shape up a little bit. Just a lot of moving parts.
Oh, yeah, just waking up and getting on that grind daily. You do have the latest preseason All-State because the high school season is also the latest in the country. It goes into the summer there in Iowa. But it was an amazing preseason All-State. And you can always find those hidden gems coming out of that Iowa event where Rob Allison gives you the, oh, gee, shucks, this guy's going to be okay. But let's dive right into some of those guys. Jaron Bleeker, who's a 24 uncommitted right-handed pitcher from Sioux City, Heelan. What do you have on him?
Yeah, I mean, I've had him ranked now for about a year and a half, and how much I like him. Like when I saw him previously, he was like 80 to 82, which isn't really eye-popping numbers velocity-wise. But you look at the body and how everything moves and his feel on the mound, and he was just kind of like one of my gut guys that I thought had a chance to develop and pop. And I mean, he's done that. Like the frame is super projectable, whippy arm into the upper 80s, feel for 2 to 3 pitches. It's your typical Iowa guy, a little bit of a late bloomer, good athlete. Once everything starts clicking, I mean, you really have something you can dream on. He's really good.
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar to what we've seen at the Hawkeyes there at the D1 level. A lot of those late bloomers who have exploded on the bump there while on campus. But another 24 uncommitted right-hander, Chris Peterson.
Big fan of Chris Peterson. Like he's that proto starting rotation type guy. 3 pitches, probably 6'4", 6'5", really good frame. Going to continue to add strength. The velocity continues to creep up. The arm really works. I think he's a guy that, worst case scenario, if professional baseball becomes a reality for him down the road, like immediately, like he would probably be penciled in as like a number 3, number 4 starter, strike thrower. Just can really do some good things.
Awesome. And I mean, they got to be thinking state championship, if not this year, but next year, because I'm looking at another uncommitted righty from Waukee Northwest, Grant Miller.
And I don't mean this negative with Grant Miller. He's always really had the ability to pitch, a little bit of a lower arm slot, good movement. But in the big picture of things, he was pretty light build, 5'10", 5'11", 150 pounds. Tweener velocity, 83 to 86, but he really put up good innings on the mound and was really competitive. Well, now he's tacked on 25 to 30 pounds. The velocity is starting to creep up. He already has the ability to pitch. I think he's just doing some really nice things to separate himself compared to a lot of other guys.
Well, let's wrap it up with one more uncommitted junior there, 24. And this is some serious high praise because I've seen some of the bats in your state. But arguably the best one is an uncommitted middle infielder, Colin Coonrad.
I mean, the way I describe it, Shooter, is I don't know how wide a baseball bat is. I guess I'm not smart enough to take out a tape measure and figure that out. But just when he hits, it seems like his bat is 2 to 3 times wider than anybody else's. He faces good pitching. He faces tweener pitching, bad pitching, change of pace guys, power guys. He's always balanced. He always squares everything up. He's the type of guy that if you see him 2 or 3 at bats, you walk away and you're like, he's just so hitterish.
Okay.
Like he's just so hitterish. He's always putting the ball in play, loud contact, on base. Like I just think he's much more advanced offensively in that regard than most anybody else in the state.
And I think hitters hit and the ability to have that decision-making ability is what really takes you to the next level. But shifting over to some underclass guys, a 25. When I think of Iowa, there's two things. I'm thinking of baseball and I'm thinking of farming. Sounds like this guy's from a small farm town, Tatum Telfer, Southpaw.
He is. I remember I talked to his dad the other day. It was probably like a year and a half ago. His dad called me when he was a freshman, said, I have a son. He really likes baseball. I think he's okay. I think he has a chance to be pretty good. We don't know what to do with him. Help us out. Came to an event. I think he was low 80s, strike thrower, left-handed, obviously had some things working for him. Well, now the velocity has just really skyrocketed. I saw him this last fall, above average pitchability, but kind of living in that 82 to 84 range. He shows up to the All-State event. Now he's creeping up into 86, 87. And then he actually plays in our spring league. This last Sunday, he touched 90 3 or 4 times.
Oh, wow.
So the velocity is really starting to take off. He's left-handed. He's around the zone. He just has a lot of good parts that I think are going to make him really attractive to a lot of schools across the country.
It's such a blessing to be left-handed. He's got that steep downhill plane, a little bit of sink there, maybe a potential invisible fastball coming your way. But another 25, big, strong kid. You got almost, that farm strong. Tatum Gray, who will be on one of my big-time shooter shortlist lists coming out pretty soon. What do you got on him?
Yeah, really physical. Is probably, he was always a good player. He's really young for his grad class. I know even last year as a freshman, he was still age eligible to play in like 14U tournaments. But, all of a sudden he's grown 5 inches in the last year. He's probably put on 20, 25 pounds of good weight. What's intriguing about him is we see a lot of guys that say they're switch hitters, but usually one side is pretty deficient compared to the other. He has like real hitting ability from both sides of the plate. He's a good athlete. He has some versatility. He can kind of move around the field. I know he can play left side infield. He can play in the outfield. He can catch. I just think he offers so many different options, and I think ultimately a school is really going to get a lot of bang for their buck.
Well, not too soon. Let's make sure he gets to the future games on that wonderful Rob Allison Midwest squad. But moving on, you don't get Rob Allison to talk much about 26s. Iowa, very humble. The young guys got to earn your keep there. But Bryce Pauly's a guy that I've been locked in on, and when you're coming out of a program like Davenport North, you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah, I saw him last year, and that was because in Iowa, once you get done with 8th grade, you're actually eligible to play high school varsity baseball. And got to see him play a position in a JV game. He started on the mound in the varsity game. He's another guy that's really taking like big jumps. Previously, he's more like 80, 83, but you could see the athleticism and the competitiveness and just the ability to go after hitters. Now, obviously, the tools have started to skyrocket. Running it up to 89, filling it up relatively well. I thought maybe at the All-State event he was overthrowing a little bit, which is to be expected. It's a lot of these guys, the All-State event's kind of their coming out party. They want to put up big numbers and big velos. But I've seen him in games. He can pitch. He throws strikes. He's athletic. And I don't think it's a bad thing, but, I think the pitching's going to be the get out of jail free card. I think it'll be really interesting how he continues to develop physically and if he's going to be a legitimate position player or a legitimate two-way guy moving forward.
Dropping some Monopoly lines on us here. Well done, Rob Allison. Wrapping it up with one committed guy from the 26 class, and he's committed to the Hawkeyes, who have done a great job of protecting those state lines with all the talent coming out of the state of Iowa. But Tucker Long, right-handed pitcher, what do you got in him?
Thin frame, super loose, super whippy. Fast twitch the whole day long. Long, get it, last name. But just tons of ability. Tons of ability. Obviously you're not going to run across a lot of freshmen throwing 87 to 90. He does a relatively good job of commanding the zone. Right now I think the changeup is, he's going to have to continue working on that third pitch, but realistically at his age, like, he's not throwing a lot of changeups. Like, he's not speeding up bats.
Yeah.
Like, he's going high octane at every hitter. But as he continues to grow and mature and figure things out, like, he's so athletic, and I think being able to, like, just throw the ball towards home plate is second nature to him. Like, he's a guy that's just going to continue to develop and figure things out.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. That's State of the Nation, Iowa. Rob Allison, thanks for being on.
Absolutely. Thank you.